Hey guys, my name is Arthur. I'm a math major, and today we're posing the question, why can't we divide by zero? Is it because it gives you an error message on your calculator? Or is it because our teachers told us that we can't back in high school? Perhaps we can build a really strong intuition as to why we can't divide by zero. But today I'd like to give you a concrete proof using a little bit of algebra to really prove to you why we can't divide by zero. And there's a lot of ways to do it, but this is a really simple way, so I like it a lot. So I'll show you guys. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to prove this by contradiction. This is a very common proof technique, and basically how it works is that we first assume something. In our case, we're going to assume that we can, in fact, divide by zero. And then we're going to do a little bit of algebra and arrive to some nonsense, basically, which make us conclude that we can't, in fact, divide by zero, because the reason we arrived to the nonsense was because we divided by zero. So we have to assume that, I guess we just can't, right? So, right, let me go ahead and do the proof. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write this little equation here. Okay, a is equal to b, fair enough. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by a. Right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract both sides by b squared. Don't be tripped up by these little arrows that I added. That's just to indicate continuation in our proof. I mean, like, this is the first step, second step, third step. So don't be tripped up by these arrows. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of factoring. So notice here we have a difference of squares, and here I can factor out a b, so I'm going to do that. Now notice that on both sides of the equation we have an a minus b factor, so we can just go ahead and cancel that. Now here we arrive at this equality, but notice back at the beginning we said that a was equal to b, so we can just go and replace a here with b because they're the same thing. Now we have two b's on the left here, so we can just go and add them up. And of course, we can go and cancel the two b's on both sides here. And we are left with 2 is equal to 1. Now, I am sure we can all agree that this is indeed nonsense. How did this happen? If you want, I can give you, you can pause the video if you want and try to figure it out yourself. But the reason that we arrived to this nonsense is because, well, we divided by 0. Where? Here. It was this step that we divided by 0, and it was when we canceled out the a minus b. Right? Because when we cancel out something in an equation, it just means we're dividing both sides by it. Right? It just means we're dividing both sides by a minus b. And since a and b are the same thing, it's like doing 2 minus 2 or 3 minus 3, right? It's going to give 0. So since a and b are the same, when we do it, we get 0. And hence, we're dividing by 0. But, I mean, that's fine. In the case of our proof, that was okay, because we assumed that we could at the beginning. That is the basis of our proof. And then, as we could continue through this algebra, we arrive to a point where we have nonsense. And I'm sure you know as well, that everything else we did in this algebraic manipulation was definitely correct, right? When we factored things out, when we added, everything was okay, right? Everything else was fine. The only thing that we sort of assumed we could do, but we aren't sure, was dividing by 0, and we arrived to nonsense. So our only conclusion that we can make is that we have to assume that we can't divide by 0. So that was the proof by contradiction. So I'm going to write our little conclusion here. And there you go. This is why you can't divide by 0. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you have any ideas for future videos, please let me know as well, and stay curious.